on InfoComm 2025 and NAB 2026 Best of Show Awards. Because it's IP native, the Rover fits cleanly into REMI workflows where the talent is on site and the production team operates from anywhere. It's our answer for corporate, education, and live production teams that need a studio they can roll into any room and turn on. Ikan products are built for the convergence of broadcast and AV. See the full line at ikancorp.com.
Pro AV has never looked better, but behind the scenes, it's never been more complex. Too often, projects are a compromise of quality, latency, and bandwidth. We've decided to change that model with a paradigm shift in the way that video moves. Uncompromised quality, ultra-low latency, and dramatically lower bandwidth, all at the same time. Introducing Matrox Mavix MGX, a new line of high-compression encoders and decoders. Now, you're no longer designing around limitations, you're designing and building the system you want. With IPMX at its core, say goodbye to proprietary systems. You get open standard interoperability and optimized bandwidth efficiency. And when you need additional performance, Matrox IQ mode gives you ultra-low latency as low as 1 frame. From control rooms to collaboration spaces, read every line, track every detail, react in real time. With Mavix MGX, you get high-quality 4K 60 444 content at 50 megabits a second and as low as 1 frame of latency on a standard 1 gig network. That's 1/20th the bitrate of virtually all other Pro AV codecs. So you don't have to choose or compromise anymore. Open standards and optimized performance when you need it, all from one device. Mavix MGX is not just another AV over IP solution. It's fundamentally changing the way we move video. And this is just the beginning.
Do you want this? Do you need it? I think that you should have it. I think that you should have it. I think that you should have it.
Most of us expect life to run smoothly. But we don't stop to think about what it takes to make that happen. Most of us don't have to. We forget about the people up and moving before our alarms go off. The people behind the innovation and logistics, the creativity, and the know-how. The people who connect rural communities with essential services, who work tirelessly to build, connect, power, and protect our lives. But the world isn't always predictable, and unexpected challenges demand creative solutions. We rely on those willing to brave intense environments and gather the resources that fuel our daily lives. We don't have to wonder about the ins and outs of life, because that is what Wesco does. We provide innovative supply chain solutions every hour, every day, all around the globe. Our people roll up their sleeves and help create a world you can depend on. Focusing on the details, the challenges, and the unexpected, so that you can live life uninterrupted. Wesco. Ingenuity delivered.
Schools need to keep everyone informed. Simple PoE-powered systems built to integrate effortlessly. From a single room to an entire campus, clear messages that reach everywhere. But when something changes, clear emergency alert reaches everyone, immediately. Because when every second counts, students must rely on connected places to keep them safe. Paging, SRP alerts, bell scheduling, notifications. Everything you need in one device. Clear messages, critical moments, connected places. Advanced network devices.
What if a workplace was truly connected to the people inside it? What if every space didn't just serve, but adapted, responded, and evolved? This is the high-performance workplace. Intelligent AV systems, dynamic spaces, and unified data converge to elevate the human experience. From the moment you walk in, your experience is thoughtfully designed. Sound shapes the atmosphere. Signage welcomes the day. Lighting curates emotion. Every connected device shares data, turning real-time insights into action. A space becomes meeting-ready in moments. And when you need more spaces just like it, the system expands seamlessly. Deployed at scale, configured in minutes, all manageable from the cloud. Even the spaces in between carry intention. A cafe shifts with the hour. A hallway knows your steps. And as a room clears, the system takes note. When the company comes together, the presenter takes center stage, and the system follows their lead, framing every moment so every seat, in the room or around the globe, has the best view. Powered by the QSys full-stack AV platform, everything is elevated. Creativity, culture, collaboration, all moving in unison towards a brighter future. This is the high-performance workplace. QSys. Experience what's possible.
to AVIXA TV Live from InfoComm. It's the day before the show floor opens and Las Vegas is getting ready to open its doors to the AV community. Over at Siegel's Bagel Mania, they've ordered 15 tons of sourdough starters in anticipation of the breakfast rush. Starbucks has reported that the city's coffee supply may not be able to keep up with demand this week. Inside the show floor, Crestron has a booth so large it appears on Google Maps. The Canadians from Ross Video have gotten distracted by the bubble hockey tables. I'm hearing there's excellent sportsmanship, but minimal progress on their booth build. And somewhere out there, there's a presenter who still needs to submit their slides for the spotlight stage. You know who you are. Over at the AVIXA TV studio, the crew is getting ready to live stream for the next 4 days straight to provide you with all the coverage of North America's premier AV event. Let's meet tonight's starting lineups.
Charles Heroux. Here we go!
Marie Nara, the Potomac View Elementary.
Trisha Gates, School of Animal Wrangling.
Max Payment, TD Bank.
Mark Metzger, Ostro's Natty Mo's Hon.
Carrie Johnson, School of Fatho.
Paula Lampkins, Portland State, and School of Motion.
Samantha Powell, soon to be Bravo Celebrity.
Ben Barnard, I love tea.
Welcome to Las Vegas, where the excitement in this town is as palpable as they host a major event. No, not the Stanley Cup Finals, it's InfoComm.
Hello and welcome to AVIXA TV Live at InfoComm in fabulous Las Vegas. I'm Samantha Powell, and as always, so happy to be joined by my wonderful co-host, Ben Barnard. And we are so excited to be your InfoComm eyes and ears over the next couple of days as we go behind the scenes, do some deep dives, and have one-on-one conversations with the folks who are leading the way in the world of AV. So, Ben, so great to have you here in the States on the West Coast. How are you doing? How was your flight over?
Flight over was good. I'm doing well. The only thing I'm struggling with is the heat. I mean, as you know, I'm from the UK. We don't get, it barely gets above about 65 on a good day. I think the other day it was like 105 here.
It's insane.
I don't know what to do with myself. Have you got any tips for me?
Just stay indoors.
Yeah, that's what I'm planning.
Use any of the walkways that you can find. The good thing is, though, at the convention center, you don't have to worry about being too hot. So you sometimes need to have to go outside just to warm up a little bit. But I know what also is heating up is the World Cup. I know we've had many conversations, and I'm trying to get on the bandwagon. I know USA won, so go USA.
Yeah, I mean, they had a great opening game.
I know.
Fingers crossed that continues for you. Fingers crossed England have a good opening game tomorrow.
Okay.
But we're here to talk about, we are going to talk about that as well.
Absolutely.
But here we are to talk about the show. Now, the show starts tomorrow, so you may be hearing a few hammers or some drilling throughout our broadcast as things get set up and finally underway. But today, we're going to give you a little taste of what's to come, and we're going to kick off with one of our awesome booth sponsors, Diversified. So welcome, TJ Kortlever. Thank you for joining us.
Absolutely, I'm happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
So you guys are going to be based over at the pitch. That's the Diversified area. And speaking of the World Cup, a lot of games going to be happening there. How's the setup going? Is it looking good?
It's coming together really well. It's looking really, really good. So we'll be showing the World Cup pretty much nonstop. We've got integrated lighting to let you know when scores happen, when events happen, red cards, yellow cards. All of that stuff is going to be happening throughout the booth, so you can get, no matter where you are in the booth, you'll be able to kind of be a part of the game. And experience it.
So
good stuff. So let's get into it. Now, you've spent more than 20 years in engineering and over a decade focused specifically on the enterprise broadcast. From your perspective, what are some of the biggest shifts happening right now, and what does that mean for integrators and end users?
So what we're seeing a lot is more and more companies are moving away from just doing AV. They're just not, it's conference rooms, they know how to do that. They're moving into experiential. They want to get their message out with broadcasting. They want to see event spaces, all hand spaces, this ability to provide a better looking show, a faster show, more reliable show that can reach a huge audience, that can be part of their company culture and messaging. So we're seeing a lot of that kind of expansion in that realm where they're moving into a broadcast level of equipment and quality just in terms of just internally in the company.
Yeah, because it used to be kind of like a CEO doing a town hall or something. It used to be acceptable for just a kind of a camera in a sort of like a small room. Now they're expecting kind of broadcast level stuff, right?
They're expecting a show. They want to see a show. They want it to be kind of an event. They want to get people excited, get people engaged and in a way that they are just in general. Most people are used to seeing well-produced things and engaging in that way.
No, absolutely. And I think it's a great opportunity to have the pitch on the floor so people can go and experience that and see what is possible. And obviously, we're so excited to have Diversified as a studio partner here at InfoComm for AVIXA TV this year. And you brought some amazing technology that we're currently using and helping to power AVIXA TV, as well as what you're doing over at the pitch. So can you just tell us a little bit more about what you have going on at the pitch, since Ben's going to be spending a lot of his time over there?
Right. So we're kind of showcasing kind of all aspects of what can happen in an enterprise level workflow. So we've got not only the stadium experience, which is the World Cup with an expanded kind of view, an expanded experience. We've got a studio control room to showcase what you can do with expanding on a podcast, expanding on doing a TV show similar to this. And we've got what we're calling a draft room, which is another experience center for doing that sort of thing. And our presentation stage where we're giving talks and various things. So a lot of stuff, a lot of technology happening. We have a lot of our partners involved kind of helping us bring this together.
That's
and
fantastic.
It's going to be very impressive.
So a lot of interactivity,
Yes.
people can get their hands on all
Come
that
out,
information.
touch the gear, see it, kind of get some ideas on what you can use to expand what you're trying to do.
Yeah,
That's a great,
incredible. So as Sam alluded to, I'm going to be spending a lot of time over at the pitch, watching some games. I mean, it's a pretty sweet deal having that as your area. The footballs, I'm certain it's going to be high footfall because of everything going on there. Hopefully, it's good quality as well, not just people mobbing the place for the games. I know Diversified, you designed the back end system for the Qatar World Cup broadcast as well. What sort of journey has that system been on between then and now?
Yeah, so we worked with Fox Sports to provide them their broadcasting core for the international broadcast centers. They took in the international host feeds from the host broadcaster, prepped them in Qatar for the U.S. distribution. So it was shipped. We had data coming back and forth from their Pico facility back to Qatar, back to their Tempe facility for distribution. They needed it to be kind of mobile, quick setup, easy to deploy because it left. We helped them do the full Qatar World Cup. It left there. It went to Phoenix to do the Super Bowl. It left the Super Bowl, went to, I believe, Sydney to do the Women's World Cup. Back to Europe for the Euros, the Euro tournament. They did that full tournament, and then New Orleans for the Super Bowl when it was there.
Wow. And
in addition, we deployed, smaller fly kits out to individual stadiums for contribution feeds, intercom, all of that stuff was interconnected and all brought back. So it was built as this massive broadcast center that they had all these high profile events they needed to move it around for.
Yeah, incredible. And so obviously very robust for it to be able to take on that amount of work.
So many places, right? And I think what's really fascinating about that fly pack system, it's just fully portable, right? It's a fully portable broadcast infrastructure. And so some people may not truly realize what all goes into it. Can you talk a little bit more about the balance between, building something so flexible that it can travel all over the world, as well as being reliable, right, for all of those massive mission critical, projects and things that you guys are working on?
Well, the first thing we had to solve for was getting it to be portable. And with the amount of gear, the amount of equipment we needed. So Fox came up with this idea on, hey, we want full-size racks, but we have to fit them in a cargo plane. They have to be portable. They have to be able to be crated and shipped. And so they came up with this idea on, we're going to fold the racks in half. So full-size equipment racks, there were these pallet systems that we had built. We have 5 racks on a pallet, 4 total pallets, and then 2 total systems. So we built a lot of redundancy in that, so they could be at the, when you get it on site, you basically stand the racks up. We built power and fiber interconnections so you can bring the systems back together. So it can get on, once it's on site, it's in place, stood up, powered, operational inside of a day. So rather than spending weeks building out a system from scratch, we are standing it up quick. They can get the rest of their systems tested, and it's up and running inside of a day.
So not a lot of downtime.
Not
whatsoever.
downtime, and we had to build it in such a way that it was, we built in a lot of redundancies. In addition to building 2 full systems, the pallets themselves were redundant to each other. So if one, for some reason, didn't show up in an event, which is a possibility.
Yeah, that can happen.
We had this ability to, the show could still go on because it has to go on. There's no, you cannot have this fail. So your capacity would be limited, but functional.
Yeah,
you could still stand it up, you could still make it work, you could still interconnect.
That's quite impressive.
Absolutely. So Diversified are also sponsoring the AVIXA TV studio here, which we're thrilled about. And it seems like a perfect example of how enterprise AV and broadcast are kind of still converging, and we're very much in the midst of that. How does a space like this reflect the kind of workflows that Diversified are really kind of focusing on right now?
Well, we're seeing a lot of customers and a lot of companies look to do exactly this. They want to do broadcast level, broadcast grade, broadcast quality, broadcast reliability. So they're integrating a lot of the broadcast technologies to get their message out the same way we're doing here, where, it's got to look good, it's got to work, you can't not be on the air. So, making sure that it's in that kind of functionality, making sure that it's reliable, deployable, and we've seen them want to do a lot of standardization across the company globally. So the company says, I want to go to any of the offices we have and walk into a space and have operators in that space that it's the same as any of the other spaces we have.
For sure. Well, we appreciate you coming in to talk about. I mean, you've got a lot of stuff going on. I encourage anyone watching to go and view, go and see your stuff over at the pitch. Come by the AVIXA TV studio too, because there's a lot of stuff going on. But TJ, thank you so much for joining us.
Absolutely, thank you for having me.
We'll see you again soon. I hope.
Appreciate it.
Wonderful. Thank you again. And it's just great to hear what Diversified has in store for us in the future. So thank you once again, TJ. So now we're going to hand over to Pete Coleman in the virtual studio for an episode of a familiar face, Rebecca Sullins. Over to you, Pete.
Thank you, Sam. I'm joined in the AVIXA TV Virtual Education Studio by Rebecca Sullins. Rebecca, welcome.
Thank you for having me. I always enjoy being here.
It's great to have you. And look, let's talk about spatial audio, like what it means, how expectations around immersive sound are changing, and what that means for AV design. So let's start with the basics. Spatial audio, what are we really talking about?
Spatial audio, it's becoming a kind of a buzzword, of course. You hear it everywhere, immersive audio, spatial audio, and now there's a rise of something called 8D audio, which we know does not exist. However, spatial audio is, in essence, just putting the audio into the space that we're in and using the actual environment and the space to move the audio, to localize the audio, to help your audience focus on things. It started, obviously, right here, we're looking at just your basic surround sound, left-right hearing, right? And that's really, really easy to think about because we have 2 ears.
Yes.
We were evolved to localize sound in our space from left to right on this plane, correct? Now, when we move out of that, the next evolution of that was going to be surround sound, and that's what we see in a lot of traditional environments here. But then we move into spatial audio, which has become the new buzzword. People want these environments. They want people to walk in and feel the audio.
Okay.
So yeah, this is surround sound right here, traditional, we all know this. Now we can move sound behind us or to the side of us or directly in front of us or whatever.
Excellent. So we're hearing a lot more about immersive and spatial audio experiences. How has that shift changed the way we design AV systems?
Oh, it's changed everything about the way we design AV systems, right? We can no longer just walk into a stadium and have big, huge horns on the scoreboard that are blasting noise at people, right? Nobody wants
Fancy
that
you saying
anymore.
that.
It's fancy me saying that. We've all been there. We've all experienced it. And people are looking for higher quality audio these days. They just are, because they're used to that more personal experience, that environmental experience. So now, for a large spatial installation, you can do. Think of the Sphere, right? We're in Las Vegas. The Sphere is a perfect example of spatial audio. It's a perfectly round dome. There are speakers everywhere. Everything in those spaces moves into those speakers, and we can experience that audio as if we're in the environment. Now, you can use this in more traditional AV designs by having more speakers, right? That is the whole idea. As soon as you put in more speakers, you can move that audio and have your audience feel what you're feeling and feel what you're putting up on the screen, which is a really cool thing to walk through.
So when we're talking about more traditional AV installations, and if we're talking about a classroom or a boardroom or something like that, how can you actually create spatial audio experiences? Are we just adding more speakers?
A lot of times that is the case. Right. And for things like boardrooms and conference rooms, it's not necessarily about the experience, but it is about making your end user feel more comfortable. And the more easily they can hear, the less they have to focus on bouncy audio, or if I'm looking at you and my audio is coming from over here, that creates a disconnect in my brain. So the more that we can lessen that and put the user into the environment as they're supposed to be in it, the easier it is for them to focus and pay attention to what they're supposed to be paying attention to. When you get into actual experiential installations, that does then yes, you want to put in more speakers. You want to actually make it so that people are walking through the environment. You can have birds chirping overhead while you're still focusing on what you're supposed to be talking to. And there are a lot of really cool experiences that you can do here at InfoComm on the show floor tour, where you can walk through environments and you can experience this immersive audio.
So are we referring to technologies like ambisonic? Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. Ambisonic. Ambisonic is basically a way of sort of recording audio so that it sounds like it's coming from all dimensions, right? Not just a single point source. And I actually talk about that. I've got a class where I'm teaching a little bit more in depth tomorrow about this. But yes, ambisonic is one of those things that you can experience here, which is very cool. So I highly recommend people go actually feel it for themselves.
Well, I'm going to have to talk to you more after the virtual education session, but I've got a couple more questions for you. A lot of people experience spatial audio through headphones and other devices, like personal listening devices. How does the design approach change when the experience moves from a room-based system to a personal device-based system?
Okay, yes, this is always the fun one, because most of the content that we consume these days is being consumed on headphones and earbuds. You can experience this. I highly recommend everybody go to YouTube, look up 8D audio. Put in your headphones, and it sounds like people are walking around you or moving through the space. Now, this is actually difficult to achieve because, again, we as humans only really have localization in the left-right plane that is easy to do. But there are tricks that you can do that can put your listener into the 3D space, even if you know that they are going to be listening on headphones or personal listening devices. Reverb, you can alter frequencies. There are certain frequencies that we as humans always tend to locate above us or behind us or whatever, even if they're coming from the exact same spot. You can play with timing, delay, level, everything, and actually put your users into that experience, even if they only have these two little speakers, right? If you're taking the actual environment out of it, you have to artificially put it back in.
And do we need any special equipment to experience this?
You don't. Now, you can buy special equipment that will do this for you, absolutely. But if you go back to understanding the very basics of how audio functions and how we as humans perceive audio, you can make anything sound like it's coming from anywhere if you're smart enough to do it.
Love it. Wow, I have to check that out for myself. Last question.
Yes.
What should AV designers and technology managers be thinking about now as spatial audio becomes more common?
Ooh, so the biggest thing, again, is just making sure that, okay, and here we go. So this
What's
is...
this?
This is my son. Don't worry, I do not exploit other people's children for profit. But he is gaming, right? This is something that's coming so much more. Esports and gaming and all of these things is designing your audio so that people can listen on their headphones, so that people really feel like they're in this experience. You can even see he's even got a curved display, right?
Yeah.
Everything that makes you want to feel more immersed in this space is going to make your audience feel more engaged with their system. And I think that that's just really important because it helps people feel more comfortable and relaxed and keeps them engaged and focused. And that's what we're really doing, right?
Great. Love it. Love it. So I believe you're going to join us back in the virtual TV, AVIXA TV virtual education studio a little bit later on. So we're going to continue this conversation. I'm looking forward to it. But now it's time to check in with our very own Samantha Powell, who caught up with Vanessa Clapsville from the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority to highlight some of the experiences InfoComm attendees can enjoy around Las Vegas during the show.
It's your girl Samantha Powell here, and I'm so happy to be joined by Vanessa Clapsville with the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority here in wonderful Las Vegas. So thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much, Sam. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. So tell us a little bit about what you're really doing to help visitors and convention goers here in Las Vegas, like really enjoy their experience here.
Certainly. So we just completed a $600 million renovation of the Legacy campus, which is really focused on bringing the contemporary design and architecture into this part of the building. And guests really have the opportunity now to experience a space that really speaks to the scale and ambition of what Las Vegas is about.
So can you speak to a little bit about some of the new events and things that are going on in Vegas?
Sure. Well, I mean, this is a city that prides itself, right, in reinvention, and we're always looking at ways to bring new experiences to the destination. And I would say some of the things that we're most excited about right now is Area 15 has just expanded the offerings and now has opened the Universal Force Unleashed, which just allows for more immersive experiences for visitors. Obviously, for the F1 enthusiast, we have the Grand Prix experience that has an F1 drive, which for those that they're wanting to experience the feels and the sounds, they've got that opportunity. And those are just a few to highlight.
Okay, since they have that here, I'm going to definitely check it out.
Right.
And as you mentioned, there's just so many things to see and do here and experience in Las Vegas. Always new restaurants that are popping up and new hotels. I know I visited a really nice new one at the Bellagio yesterday. Carbone Riviera.
Yes,
fantastic. Can you speak to a little about what's growing here? What's happening here?
So there's a couple of new things. So a new favorite restaurant of mine is Tamba, which is located in Town Square. They're up for a James Beard Award that they are competing for, and it's this wonderful place of Indian and Asian fusion. But then you can never go wrong with Nobu or Gymkhana at Aria, and those are just to name a few. But you know, again, there is always something for every visitor, whether you're doing, you know, options that are a little bit more on the value proposition in Chinatown to award-winning, just, you know, very forward culinary experiences here on the Strip.
Oh, absolutely. And highly recommend everybody get a reservation early because it's going to be challenging. But there's so many options. So yes. I'm also a huge sports fanatic, and Las Vegas has been expanding its sports portfolio. So can you share
sports tourism? Absolutely. Next year we will be the home to college football playoffs in 2027.
Nice.
I know.
I did not know. Okay, I'm definitely putting that on the calendar.
Yeah, you should. Come in January.
Yes.
In addition to that, though, we've got several other big things happening. Obviously, 2 weeks ago, we announced that we will be home to Super Bowl 63 in 2029.
Nice.
And so the Super Bowl will come back to Las Vegas, which is a really important thing. Anytime that any major sport comes back to a city, it just really is a testament to how the city performed. In addition, though, in 2028, we will have the inaugural season to the A's baseball team. Which construction of the ballpark is underway here on the Strip.
Wow. Oh, that is so exciting. Okay, yeah. So there's a lot of things that I actually need to put on my calendar now. But I mean, Las Vegas covers it all. For anybody who wants to get any additional information on the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority, where can they go to get that information?
Absolutely. So they can go to our website, which is Vegas Means Business.
Okay.
As well as Visit Las Vegas, which is also the all of the things on what are the best restaurants, what are the newest openings, hotels. That both of those places would be a great place to start to find and plan your trip.
Wonderful. Well, Vanessa, I cannot thank you enough. Thank you so much for taking the time to share with me and our whole audience about what to do and what to see and experience at Las Vegas here. It's just phenomenal, and I know our attendees are going to be so excited to see all the new things. Thanks everybody for watching.
Good job, Sam, as ever. And I bet your what to see and do in Vegas list got just a little bit longer after that conversation.
Oh my gosh, it just seems to get longer and longer. There's just so many things to do and see and places to eat.
Yes, indeed.
And you said it. But before we go any further, we have many more guests that we have here in studio. We're so happy to be joined by our friends, James Tian and Daniel Napier of Ikan. Hi guys, how are you doing?
Well, how are you?
Fabulous. We love having you guys situated right behind us. How is everything going at your booth?
We are on time.
Okay, good.
With the show opening tomorrow, so that's all we can hope for at this moment. Very excited for the show to start.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, thanks for sitting down with us. I know there's a lot going on as everybody's building their booth.
Thank you for having us on the show.
Oh, we love it. Every time. So we know a lot of people are familiar with Ikan from the accessories and support side of the business, but as the company is growing and your technology is evolving over the years, how would you describe that journey, and what role does technologies like PoE, how has that really played into the Ikan evolution?
Ikan has been around for 20 plus years now, and change is the only constant, and truly we've seen many changes in our industry. We come from a traditional broadcast industry, and only in the last couple of years has the broadcast industry really embraced IP workflows, right? So now we are talking about the convergence of broadcast into the AV world. What's funny about this term convergence is that there was a divergence, right? Because at one point, decades ago, the AV world and the broadcast world used the same technology, which is linear baseband. It diverged because the AV world adopted IP workflows. The broadcast world did not. And now the broadcast industry is finally adopting. So now the divergence is going back to a convergence, which is very exciting for us. PoE is a technology that really enables that convergence, enables that workflow. Only very recently did Power over Ethernet obtain a level of throughput that is usable, really usable. What I mean by that is for a long time, the IEEE, which is the body that sets PoE standards, had PoE running at 15 watts, and then 30, and then 60, and now we've achieved 90 watt of throughput power. 90 watt in a modern, efficient technology landscape can power a lot of devices. And what we brought to market is a suite of Power over Ethernet lighting for broadcast, for live communications. There's 3 studios here at AVIXA TV. All of them are lit with PoE lighting. The lights that are lighting us right now are Power over Ethernet. So 90 watt lights can carry a lot of throughput. And in fact, we've also developed proprietary technology that blends 2 or more cat cables. So we can drive a light that's about 170 watt of output, which are the big panel lights in front of us that's illuminating us, also using PoE. And so the benefit of PoE, beyond the fact that it's cool, it promotes the IP workflow, right? Because you have data and power going through the same network, going through the same port. It promotes simplicity. And PoE is considered low voltage power. So what that means is that a corporation that's looking to build a studio in an existing infrastructure, they don't have to, on day one, rip out cables and open drywall to be able to install power and go through the whole permitting process. They can install lights and run their lights through a network. And so that's just a tip of the iceberg. I mean, we're a tip of the spear. We're talking about PoE in cameras. That's been around for a long time. PoE in audio devices, PoE in monitors, and all sorts of endpoint devices that would not have been possible just a few years ago without the IEEE approving a 90 watt standard for Power over Ethernet.
No, and we love having these lights here in this studio as well as the other ones around InfoComm. So yes, thank you for providing them. They're wonderful.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've been speaking about the convergence, okay? The divergence is also an interesting thing, which I'd love to talk more about, but that's for another conversation. So the convergence of corporate AV and broadcast, especially as IP-based workflows continue to grow, from what you're seeing, how are customers and also the industry adapting to that shift?
Customers are loving it, and specifically I'm talking about corporate customers, right? Corporations have all sorts of sizes. You have corporations that are a handful of people, you have corporations that hire 1 million people. So it's a huge scale. Historically, because broadcast has always been a very expensive technology with dedicated, baseband and network infrastructure, or just infrastructure in general, only the $1 billion plus valuation companies could afford broadcast technology, right? However, as the general population have moved to consuming video through streaming, through social media, through various different online platforms, every corporation needs accessible technology to be able to connect with their audiences. And so this is why corporations need IP-based workflows, because they are already running IP in their AV infrastructure, right? And so for every broadcast company that's trying to enable corporations to be able to produce high quality content, they have to be very cognizant of the fact that in a corporate infrastructure, especially where you're talking about mid-sized to smaller-sized corporations, the majority of corporations in the world are medium to small size. If you want to address that market, you have to develop technologies that they can understand, that they can work with, and they can easily adapt. So in our perspective, whenever we build technologies that's geared towards that convergence market, we want to make sure that the products are smart, they're network-based, they're PoE, if it's possible to be built as PoE infrastructure, we build them that way. And the other thing is we want to work with automation platforms like QSys, like Crestron, that automatically allows our products to tie into those endpoints. So a corporation do not have to deploy a separate parallel infrastructure and system to be able to use technology. It could be seamlessly incorporated into the workflow of either traditional broadcast or newer forms like podcasts, even live communications. We're seeing that our lighting and high, broadcast grade PTZ cameras are showing up in a conference room environment, in a town hall environment, right? Everybody's leveling up. The expectation is higher now for corporations to deliver high quality content, and for that content to be informative, educational, and entertaining. All those things have to check the box for audience, for you to win an audience's attention, because there's so many things demanding our attention today.
I would like to add to what James said there. I think some of the biggest drivers behind this is obviously the customer itself. This technology is something that can run across their existing infrastructure in many cases. It doesn't require, as James mentioned, expensive, specialized infrastructure like baseband. The IT teams now are often tasked to oversee the running of the studios. They're not doing the creative side, but they're managing the studio and the security around it, so that it's a language they're very comfortable working in the IT space. Very simple to upgrade, because often it's just a switch you're changing versus all this expensive traditional broadcast hardware. I think the biggest advantage of this whole IP revolution is the ability to go across distances. So not only are you doing that locally in your building, but you could be spanning multiple cities in a country, or going continental with VLANs and routing your town hall between multiple locations simultaneously, which is something you could never do with baseband. This is offering such a great work opportunities and workflows that have never been available at a price point that a corporate customer could ever afford.
Well, absolutely. And I know, Daniel, you've got something really cool sitting next to you. And one thing that I love about Ikan is your ability to be adaptable and seamless, and you're really listening to your customers and what the corporate environment needs. And I see something to the left of you that looks really interesting. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, absolutely. So I'll just give you a bit of background to why we feel it's an important product going forward. This is challenging times at the moment for all of us. The world's in a very difficult situation. Customers, want to go to the next level. Often they've just got a webcam over a monitor, and that's not good enough for where their presentations need to go. They don't necessarily want to go to the expense straight away of building a fully fledged studio, because sometimes that's a very hard sell financially, internally, and use cases. So the Rover is a great inroad for a customer to have that higher quality presentation experience without the risks of not being clear about what their goals are, who their customers are. It gives them a chance to get going, and then as those use cases and become clear, then they can expand into full studio. So I think it's a great segue in for customers doing that. Now the Rover itself can be used in multiple ways. So it can be used as a fixed solution, so you could have it in a room. There's topside patch panels, so you can have all your lighting integrated, green screens. So you could use it as a totally permanent solution. But the best use case is where you have it deployable. So you have it disconnectable, and then you could wheel it into another room for doing a town hall. It could be a specific conference call, or better still, if you've got another location or you want to do something in the field, you can wheel it onto a van, literally with our clamshell unit top, and it's a portable system. So your return on investment is way better than the room that just sits there. It gives you a chance to work out where you want to take your technology, where your communications need to go. Now we designed this with 3 work modes in case. So it's designed for someone that, if they feel comfortable, they can drive it from the front. So you have a control interface, which is of the customer's choosing, and they can operate the system. The second solution is if you drive it from the rear, so a tech can be round the back, controlling the system, leaving that presenter to do what they do best, present. The third case, which we're seeing a lot of interest in, is the whole REMI workflow that's become very popular in recent years. And that's the ability to control a system fully remote. So we do have our full REMI solution for the Rover. So the whole solution can be fully controlled remotely over a local network or global network, which is great for a customer that has multiple sites but doesn't have technical people at those sites. The secret with the system ultimately is the control system. Because we all know broadcast systems can be very involved to use. So using a control system to simplify the operation with macros, so the end user just presses 1 or 2 buttons versus trying to work out all the details, that is the way to go. This is control system agnostic. So we support everything from a QSYS, a Crestron, a bit focus panel, a Dexstream, any control system. And then the SI working with the customer, because this is really an SI deployment, because it is a specialized solution, that they can determine the workflow for the customer, because you can determine what kit goes in the rack and what control system wraps it up.
Fantastic. Well, they say time flies when you're having fun, and never a truer statement, because we're completely out of time here.
Oh, gosh.
If people want to come and see this in more detail and just talk to you and the team, where can they find you here at the show?
We're literally behind your stand.
Okay.
N, I think 6855. So if you look for the AVIXA stand, we're literally right behind with a big yellow banner. You can't miss us.
And then you can always go to icancorp.com as well.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much indeed. Always a pleasure to have you with us. And best of luck for the rest of the show. Lovely to meet you as well, Rover. No response. Maybe well.
Thank you.
Now it's time to send it back to Pete in the virtual studio for a conversation with another familiar face. It's Joseph Valerio.
Thank you, Ben. Joining me now in the AVIXA TV virtual studio is Joseph Valerio, Director of the AVIXA Foundation. Joseph, you are looking very sharp today as usual.
Thank you. I thought I'd bring it all the stops for you, Pete.
Well, I appreciate that. You're making me look really bad right now, okay? But Joseph, for viewers that may not know about the AVIXA Foundation, what role does the foundation play on behalf of the AV industry?
Well, fun fact, AVIXA's actually had a charitable foundation for 30 years or more. Yeah.
Oh.
So we've been around for quite a while.
Yeah.
And that role that you asked about is really important. We essentially serve as a connector of workforce development, enablement for our industry. So as long as we've been around, we've been promoting education, skills development, going out into the world to help make our career more visible, and then amplify all the work that others are doing so that all the great vendors here at InfoComm, all of our shows, all of the people in our community can really have some great talent to pull from.
Wow, okay, it's quite interesting. I wasn't really that aware of the AVIXA Foundation, so it's good to learn a little bit more about it. But when we talk about workforce development in AV, what problem is the foundation really trying to solve?
The first is the visibility of our wonderful career. there aren't a lot of traditional industry pathways from career to school to classroom and so forth, right? And so that's the number one right now that we try to do. So all of our programs are focused on more visibility of this beautiful, dynamic industry. And the second then is access to the necessary skills training that one needs to be a great AV professional. So we have a lot of programs dedicated to that, giving access to people who don't already have it to get those skills. And then Pete, I think the third one that's even most important then is amplifying those connections and building more pathways directly into the job market.
I think that's so important because there really has been a disconnect for many years of trying to bring young people, students leaving school, what do I do? Where is my future? You know, and obviously there are pathways for engineers and all sorts of other, you know, people who are designing and working, you know, out in the field as tradespeople and so on, but nothing for AV, nothing until now. So I think that's fantastic. I think it's much needed because without those young people coming through, we're not going to really have a bright future, are we?
Absolutely.
Right. And so the foundation offers, you know, scholarships, financial impact grants, and fosters community partnerships. How do those programs create real ROI for the AV industry?
Well, first thing, a scholarship is an open door to a dream come true.
Right.
So more and more classroom to career can happen. More people can see themselves in our industry and afford that great education they might be getting as an engineer or as an audio professional. They might be working in the theater at their local university. Bam, that's a great open door for them to then start making access points. A grant or sort of a financial impact program like we fund is all about amplifying the work that others are doing to bring in more people to our business. So we give a lot of grant donations to organizations, other nonprofits, NGOs out there, vocational programs as well, Pete, that are bringing in more talent, training them up, and making them the AV professionals that we all need right now.
Love it. Wow, it's very impressive. And look, I know you travel the world. We were talking just before we started about Australia in particular. But you've been all around the world through this role in the AVIXA Foundation, and you've been activating programs like in all corners of the globe. Like we've got InfoComm in India, we've got ISC, we've got Integrate in Australia, we've got InfoComm Latin America.
Exactly.
And obviously here at InfoComm, what have you learned from traveling around the world and seeing workforce development through a global lens?
I think it first reiterates that our industry is, of course, global.
100%.
Right? Therefore, we should make activations and lean on that experience. And so we are very purposeful about, at all of our global shows, through the great reach that AVIXA and its member community has, to have purposeful, deep connections in those regions all over the world to activate that open door.
Yeah.
And so we have programs at every show, like you mentioned. Even here at InfoComm in the United States, we bring in so many new faces for them to rub elbows with professionals, see the innovation that's on display, and therefore see themselves in the business.
And does that involve, like quite often when I'm at InfoComm or other shows around the world, I see groups of students coming through. That's part of the program?
Yeah, absolutely. Right. We actually think that it's the most important thing to have it serve as a connector for job seekers and employers. So we actually bring them to the shows, we walk them around, we give them shadow, hands-on experiences at places like AVIXA TV even, and we have actual matchmaking experiences so employers can meet future talent. And we have, for example, at ISC and other places at those shows you mentioned, we have brought in thousands now over the last several years and have significant increase in ROI for those employers.
Yeah, I love it, and I think it's a great mission that you're on.
Yeah.
But for an employer, educator, or community organisation watching this, what's one way that they can get involved in the AVIXA Foundation?
Well, first and foremost, I would say there's probably three actually.
Okay, right.
First and foremost.
3 ways.
Sure, yeah, because I always have 3 things. First and foremost, they can use the resources we've developed, Pete.
Right.
So we've got apprenticeship schemes you can borrow. We've got abilities and skills you can use to take out into the community. Speak your own story to them.
Yeah.
The second one, frankly, is let us know about an organization in your neighborhood, the grassroots programs that are impacting your business. Let us know about that. We'd love to amplify that story. And then lastly, because we're a nonprofit, we cannot do this without our community.
Sure.
So employers, people in our industry, AV professionals, even $5 goes directly to the very people that we've been showcasing to help them get a great career.
Excellent, excellent. Well, if you're a vendor, an exhibitor, you're an integrator, a consultancy, check out the AVIXA Foundation, get involved, help the program, because inadvertently that's going to help everyone in the community as well. What's the best place that people can go for more information about the AVIXA Foundation?
Yeah. avixa.org/foundation. It's simple to remember. And you can also check out some of our groups and organizations that we support there.
Love it, love it. Joseph, thanks again for your time.
Thank you for
really
having me.
appreciate it. And now it's time to throw back to Sensational Sam and Beautiful Ben at the AVIXA TV studio. Beautiful Ben? Who wrote this?
Pretty sure you wrote that,
I was
Pete.
going to say, did you have something to do with that? But I like Sensational Sam. I'm taking that one. Thanks, as always, Pete. You're fabulous. And, you know, Ben, I think we're just so fortunate to get to chat with so many companies who I feel like they're our friends now. And, of course, without any exception, Broadfield is here as well. So, welcome, Jim Bask and Glen Seaman. Thank you guys so much for joining us.
Thank you very much for having us.
Wonderful. How has your journey been so far? Walking the show floor, working on the booth, maybe not?
Absolutely. We have a whole team here. They're building the booth as we speak. Already started working up a sweat. And then Glenn and I said, we have to go be on camera. Yeah. So let's go do this.
Right?
It's a hard life, right?
They put the pretty people on here,
you got it
right?
covered, yeah.
Wonderful. Well, thank you again so much for joining us. And it feels like for years, corporate video, it was just more than, a webcam and a ring light, in somebody's room or somebody's office. And now we know companies really want more intentional spaces, more fully dedicated broadcast studios right inside of their offices and their organization. So what do you really think sparked that shift?
So I actually run the marketing department at Broadfield Distributing, and I can tell you from our point of view, producing the content to talk to our system integrators and customers, it allows us to really broadcast to many people all at the same time. The need for having a broadcast studio in office, having the available real estate now with people working on hybrid schedules or working from home. There's a bunch of little empty offices that have opened up where corporations are looking at this space and saying, how can we utilize this to benefit the marketing department, to benefit our investor relations and everyone else along the way. It's not just the once a year Steve Jobs keynote address. Everyone wants to be able to create a broadcast with these messages.
And do you think the sort of like the lower cost of everything has made it more accessible too? Has that kind of inspired people to do that? They didn't have to have like an OB truck like to do a broadcast and that kind of thing. The fact they can do it IP based now means their kind of ideas, they can dream a little bit bigger.
Absolutely. I think it's the accessibility of the equipment. Cost obviously is one of it, but also with the wide range of the technology and the stuff that works with. Glen handles our sales engineering team, and I know a lot of the quotes he works on with our system integrators are so different from one project to the next. There are just so many different products and technology available for people to use.
Yeah, it's the price. Prices come down, ease of use has come down, but it all really comes down to two is, you are competing. The eyeballs. Just a normal Zoom meeting is boring. There's so many other distractions going on. So the more you can do to make it entertaining, and that's switching to cameras, switching to different shots. Having a more broadcast presentation is going to help keep your audience focused on things, and that's what's driving it. So it's the availability of space. Again, we've got offices that aren't being used. Let's turn it into something that we can use. Ease. Like I said, the ease of products, the price of products, all those things have kind of brought that into the forefront of people thinking we can do this now.
Yeah, definitely. And the whole evolution as well. I mean, even when the virtual backgrounds first came in on Zoom and stuff like that, it was kind of a bit of a joke, it was a bit of a laugh. Now it's like, it needs to work, right? It needs to be properly done. Sports production also seems to be a huge growth area right now. What are customers expecting from their production setups today that they maybe weren't asking for like 5 years ago, let's say?
So, not much has changed as far as new requirements. I think the biggest thing more is accessibility to content. It's now you've got not just, great, we're doing in-game entertainment, so that's what's going out on the Jumbotron, that's what's going out there, but there's also, great, we've got to feed, the live stream, we've got to feed the web clips, so now it's the social media folks that are looking for just small little snippets of things. Replay, all those things, all this stuff has still been there, it's just getting more people on it. I think the bigger thing more has just been now, more of the analytics. People are looking for more of that analytics, more advertising, because depending on where you are in that sports world, maybe we want to be able to also offset some of the cost of this. If we could throw in, highlight reels that have company logo sponsored by Joe's Pizza Shop, that helps the small local school, support all the equipment that they just bought to do these broadcasts.
30,000 people walk into a stadium and they all have a 5-inch TV in their hands. If you could produce the content that helps that fan engagement and brings them back into the live event with the screen that they're using at the same time, you get that convergence of the technology and the live space.
And like you say, you're competing for those eyeballs, that time. So absolutely.
And stadiums are changing everything. I mean, the fan engagement, all that, it's a whole other way of embracing and watching and going to a match now, or going to a game now.
And I think everybody has now higher expectations, right? They're expecting more out of what they're seeing and what they're experiencing. And I think that's a great testament to all of the new technology and everything that you guys are doing. And now, in terms of the convergence of broadcast and Pro AV, I know that's a big theme for you guys, obviously here at InfoComm. From a messaging standpoint, how do you get a more traditional AV integrator excited about the broadcast technology and vice versa? What if there's some hesitation? How can you get them to understand that that this could be for them as well?
Absolutely. I think when we first came to InfoComm about a decade ago, a lot of the system integrators that we spoke to about broadcast technology were looking to elevate from the security cameras that they were installing all over the place. Now, those same PTZ robotics in cameras are being used with 1-inch image sensors and auto tracking and auto framing and color balance, and all of these camera technologies are being integrated into the same spaces and the same technology that they're used to running. And with AV over IP and NDI and Dante and all that convergence, you're having the same low voltage installers installing the optical image network and the AV for that install. So it's just a true convergence.
So you mentioned a couple of the bits of tech that you distribute there, and you distribute everything from cameras to LED walls. That's a huge ecosystem, right? So how do you help integrators kind of cut through the noise and help them choose a solution that's actually right for a client?
That's what I do, and that's part of what I love. Is it really starts with conversations. I mean, it's never going to be, sure, I would love to sell you the $100,000 this and $100,000 that, but it's like you've got to come down, and it always comes down to looking at what problems are you trying to solve, what is the customer's budget, and it's trimming the fat, focusing on the things, where do they want to grow, what can they give up. So it really is a great dialogue with them of just it's never just pick one of this, pick one of that. It's really, what are you trying to do? And sometimes it just becomes a growth thing where it's like, okay, why don't we spend our money here for this budget, and then next year, or as they grow, we know where we can grow. So sometimes it's a 2 or 3 year plan on some of these.
And I think that's the crucial thing you mentioned, next year. Like, if you sell someone something that they don't need, there is no next year, right? Because they realize they've been sold something they don't need, and then they're not coming back. So yeah, it's the repeat business, it's the relationship. Yeah, absolutely.
We call it land and expand.
Okay.
You want to land the sale and then expand it endlessly.
Absolutely, perfect.
And what are some of those initial conversations that the integrators should be having when they're thinking of making this change? And what are some of the common mistakes that you're seeing that they could potentially avoid?
My favorite conversations are the ones that start with, this is where they want to go. How do we get there in the long term? How do we start today? How do we land? How do we build it out? How do we take advantage of a budget and then identify future goals and really build those relationships? The most successful integrators we work with are the ones that have long-term relationships with their clients.
So as we wrap up our segment, which I can't believe we're already having to do, as we say, time keeps flying. But for integrators watching who might want to start moving into broadcast quality production, what's the first big step that you think they should take?
You've really got to look at infrastructure. I think that's the biggest thing. Having everything is going to video over IP, whether it be NDI, Dante, IPMX, SMPTE21, ST2110, all of that is IP. You're still going to have your HDMI and your SDI backbones, but you want to look at IP in the future. I think that is the thing that they want to look at, is just how do we get IP into this? That is where things are going, and that is going to be, the thing that, as you grow and as you evolve, is going to be your backbone. I think that's really the first thing, is just looking at the core background and then just focusing on what do we need to do? What is the end goal? What are we trying to do? There's lots of things. There's lots of sexy products, lots of cool things we can talk about. But what is the content you are trying to create? What is your main message that you are trying to get done? And let's focus on that, and then look at again, budget and where it can go. But let's focus on mainly what you're trying to get done. How do you build a backbone for that, so that you can then have something that you can continue to grow year after year after year?
Absolutely. Well, Jim, Glen, thank you so much for joining us. It's always a pleasure. Folks, if you're at the show, come and visit Broadfield. They'll tell you what you need. Right?
Absolutely. And we're willing to talk to the system integrators. We have a whole team out here at the show. Thank you so much for having us on.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you, guys.
Really appreciate it. Fantastic. So, now for something completely different. Ben, have you heard of the Interstellar Arc Tour out in Area 15?
No. What's that?
Okay. Well, I'm glad you asked. This year, InfoComm is offering a really cool integrated experience tour. So hold on to your headsets, your VR headsets at that, and let's take a look.
Let's do it.
So we're here at Interstellar Arc at Area 15, Zone 2. The entire experience is designed by Felix and Paul Studios out of Montreal. We're the largest virtual reality experience any place in the world. So through our 60 minutes of free roaming, location-based virtual reality, guests will spend the majority of that time physically up on their feet, making their way throughout our 20,000 square foot facility. Our journey takes 60 minutes, which is going to take passengers from the year 2406 into the far future, arriving at the exoplanet Arcadia in the Ross Galaxy. During the experience, they'll spend 1 hour physically up on your feet, wearing a virtual reality headset, walking through the inside of the Interstellar Arc. They're gonna tell stories about what life used to be like back on Earth. They'll tell some stories about what life's like currently on the ship, and then ultimately they'll leave you with some hope and happiness toward what life's gonna be like in the future as well. Spaceport 1's located on the moon, so passengers aboard the Interstellar Arc will start here. Guests will check in at our passport kiosks located here. Everybody begins in a seated position. Our headsets will switch from a pass-through mode, where you're still looking at the real world here on Earth, to fade away and begin the story at that time. We use the Meta 3 headsets. We have noise-canceling headphones here on these headsets. Also modified here on top is an attachment where we place a camera, and that's what's used for the location tracking inside the venue. As you make your way through, you'll see all the guests in spacesuits physically in their location. That way, as you're making your way through, you can avoid those guests along the way. At the end, there's a dedicated amount of time for free roaming to continue exploring the inside of the Agora and look for some other items you may not have found. From there, guests are summoned to an elevator, and that's where they go to the final shuttle ride, where they'll arrive to Cosmopolis and the final scene of the show. There's sort of three components that go on all at the same time. Number one is the story. So it's this futuristic story, the cinematic adventure aboard the Interstellar Arc, and that's narrated to you throughout the experience. The other part to it is sort of this gamification, to where you're gonna pick up achievements, you're gonna find some glyphs along the way, both gold and silver. There's a long list of achievements that you collect, and at the end, that's ultimately gonna give you a readiness score for life on the new planet. So you have that gamification built into the story, and then you also have the technical side, which is the actual VR headsets and the technology that's being used to put you in that journey and in that show.
Wow, I'm definitely adding that tour to my list, Sam. Who's up next?
right, well, Ben, I've been looking forward to this segment for a very long time. We've got our friends at Matrox Video who have some really exciting news to share about a new product with incredible potential. But why don't we let them tell us? We're so glad to have Ron Berty and Andre Testa here with us, and we can't wait to hear all about your product launch. So thank you guys so much for joining us today.
Thanks for inviting us.
Wonderful.
Pleasure.
So how are things going at the booth? I know this is setup day. Everybody's getting things together.
Yeah. It's going okay. Things are getting there. We're not quite finished yet, but we've got a full day ahead of us.
Only a few details to iron out.
That's right.
That's fine.
Yeah, so a couple of hours behind schedule, right on schedule.
Yes,
You have all night.
That's what Vegas is for, right?
Exactly.
Indeed.
Yeah, it's for booth builds. Wonderful. Well, Matrox Video has been at the heart of the video industry for 50 years, and we're talking about a new product as the paradigm shift, which we love that saying. And I'm sure it's not something that you guys take lightly. So what makes this moment different from any other before for Matrox Video?
Well, we've had a few moments over the 50 years we've been in business, so I won't compare it to other things that we've done, but part of the reason we're calling it a paradigm shift that comes from a customer in the end. But what we're really talking about is the different types of AV over IP that exist out there and that are being used regularly. And you guys have already been talking about that as we were sitting here and watching what was going on. And that means, okay, what types of AV over IP are there? And there's really uncompressed, lightly compressed, where, yeah, you've got your bandwidth down, but then you have high compression. And high compression has really been 420. 420 means it's lossy. It has some loss, but it's still good video. But the difference now that we're bringing to the market is that we're going to have a 444 high compression environment, which adds the other attributes of the other two environments as well, which is low latency or almost zero latency and very high quality. So we get all of that at a much lower bandwidth. 1/20th the bit rate of what people are typically using today in the pro AV industry. So that's why we're calling it a paradigm. It opens an option that does not exist previous to this.
Yeah, I mean, it clearly is a paradigm shift because that big battle of trade-offs has always been, like you say, it's the latency, it's the bandwidth, it's the quality, it's how you balance them. What has Matrox Video cracked here that the industry hasn't been able to solve until now?
Well, yeah, exactly. You know, it was a world of compromise. And I always use the analogy of a triangle, right? So you're trying to push one corner in, one of the other two is popping out. You're pushing this one back in, and then the other one is again popping out.
Absolutely.
What we've been able to do is push all of the three corners in at the same time, right?
Yeah.
So we're able to get 4K P60, 444 pristine quality, 1/20th of the bandwidth, like Ron said, at 1 frame of latency. So this is why we call it a paradigm shift.
Yes.
And I won't tell you our secret, obviously, but I can tell you that we've invested massive effort in R&D and very talented engineers.
Yeah.
But don't take our word for it, right? Come and visit us at our booth, C7437, where Ron is going to be stationed there all of his hours doing demos, explaining what we've done. So come and experience the paradigm shift for yourself, basically.
No, we'd love to check that out, and we will definitely be doing so. And that's amazing that you're giving your customers, they're able to have it all, where they weren't before. And I know we've had so many wonderful conversations with Matrox Video. We love having you guys on AVIXA TV. And with your time in the industry, you are known for interoperability. And it's been a hallmark for Matrox Video. So how does this new product, how does that come into the philosophy? And why does it matter so much in today's environments?
Well, you're right to say that Matrox have been a big proponent of the open standard philosophy, right? We were the early adopters of ST2110 when it started in broadcast. We're one of the major driving force behind IPMX, both at the spec writing level and at the trade shows, doing demos to show the actual technology. But this is, now it's where it matters the most, right? Take, for example, corporate AV, where we're having a lot of success. Take those big financial or insurance companies, right? In their facility, they have multiple conference rooms ranging from small huddle rooms to more complex. They have auditorium where they have experts or CEO doing presentation. They need to exchange those high quality AV signals, even record them for future recording. So the importance of having like high quality AV signal is increasing exponentially. Right. And for them, you know, the importance of having a system based on open standard solution is paramount. They need to build systems that are robust, reliable, maintainable, and for that, if they corner themselves in, particular vendor solution, they're kind of tied to their technology, their roadmap, their features, as having the ability to mix and match different vendors, then you can extract the benefit of that each of those vendors can bring to the table. And for Mavix MGX, obviously, right, we're fully embracing this open standard philosophy, as it's going to fully support IPMX and other open protocols out there.
For sure. From a practical standpoint, what are some of the real world applications or workflows that this now enables that would have been difficult or maybe even possible before when it comes to video encoding and delivery as well?
Well, that's it. I mean, where we see it being used clearly in our experiences in the control room environments, for sure, because there it has been oftentimes you're using 420 and high compression because you have a lot of signals coming in, plus depending on what type of environment you're in, whether it's military, industrial, otherwise, that's what they've been doing, but they're living with lossy and latent video. So MGX solves those problems, including IPMX, enables for real time and high quality content to make decisions on, and you can contribute to the control room and distribute from it easily. But beyond that, there's corporate AV. I mean, we're talking about it here. We've heard people talk about town halls, driving that content. You have to build an entirely other network to do that, or segregate the existing network significantly to push, 800 megabits a second for 4K or 400 for full HD. That's a challenge. Now that we can get down to 50 megabits a second, provide the same quality and have that same latency, that's a game changer. You can start using the IT network itself for that town hall and have people participate back and forth. KVM support comes with this solution as well, or at least at a minimum keyboard, mouse, and webcam. So you can interact with the presenter in overflow rooms, other areas. Beyond that, just corporate AV in terms of meeting, collaboration spaces, all of that can be done with high quality, low latency content. Teams and Zoom are great for that, but at the same time, the quality for the content being shared is not always so great. Or if you've ever taken the mouse and used it, it's a little late, to say the least. But that makes a big difference in those environments. So we see it being used in all of that corporate AV environment where high compression really wasn't used.
Yeah, and I think that's what's great about these kind of conversations we can have, because when you put it like that, especially from like the control room situation, which one do you compromise? You don't want latency because you need to react real time. You don't want to have, you don't want you dropping frames if you're looking at a situation that's kind of developing. You want to have high quality so you can actually see what's going on. So that's really a key area.
Absolutely. In control rooms, you're making decisions. Better to make decisions on high quality content and low latency than otherwise.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. And organizations obviously are concerned with their return of investments, right? They want this great quality, these solutions that work, but they also want them so that they're long-term, they're flexible, they're scalable. So how does reducing network complexity help companies really future-proof that infrastructure that they have within their organizations?
I think just by reducing the bandwidth by 20 times what's being used today is a significant difference. So that alone reduces the complexity of the network. So you can imagine, I use this example a lot, a 24-port switch. If you've got 12 signals, 4K signals, you've used all 24 ports. You've got a lot more bandwidth when you have 20 times less, a lot more capacity when you have 20 times less bandwidth. So now you can use much simpler networks. The switch fabric doesn't have to be as complex, as good in the switch itself, and then interconnectivity from switch to switch gets you way more AV over IP across the network. So you may not need it today, but you will need it later because, as we all know, AV over IP is growing and growing in leaps and bounds. We're seeing it every day in environments like InfoComm. So it really helps the organization to be able to put in what they have today in a more meaningful and less costly and complex way, and allows them to grow more just readily, naturally through the network, as a, when you've reduced the bandwidth to that amount and continue to get the latency and the quality in place.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I just love the passion coming off, of this conversation. It's fantastic. So 50 years in, Matrox Video clearly still setting the agenda rather than following it. Where does this technology take the industry over the next 5 years, if you can look that far ahead?
There's many ways I could answer this question. I think I'm going to take the IPMX angle because IPMX is coming to maturity, but we put all the basic specs in place. But now we have a training program, certification program. We're also always adding new security features, USB. This is not an end, right? The keyword is adaptability. And so this is where it's going to be in the future. We're making sure that IPMX is going to grow with the industry. We're having conversation with many actors in the industry, like PTZ camera vendors or commercial displays, to make sure that we fit their needs, right? We make sure that IPMX is making their solution fit in the IPMX network properly. And Matrox is the same way, right? We've been, we're celebrating our 50 years anniversary this year, and you don't stay alive 50 years in this industry without the ability of reinventing yourself, re-engineering.
Innovation as well, of course.
And Mavix MGX, this is exactly what it is. It's our latest reinvention. And this is what we do, right? We're identifying problems and providing solutions to them.
Wonderful.
Amazing. Well, here's to the next 50 years.
Exactly, and we appreciate you sitting down and celebrating your 50 years anniversary with us here at AVIXA TV. We can't thank you guys enough, and we'll be sure to stop by your booth and make sure everybody else does as well.
Great. Thanks.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Well, thanks so much again, Ron and Andre, for sharing this great news with us. Now, we're going to go back to the virtual studio with Pete Coman and another round of School Me with Rebecca Sullins. Pete, take it away.
Thank you, Sam. I'm joined again in the AVIXA TV Virtual Education Studio, which is quite a mouthful, by Rebecca Sullins. Great to have you back, Rebecca.
Thank you for having me again.
But this time, we're going to be talking about AI and audio. Right? AI has made some huge leaps in image generation, but audio is a very different challenge, especially because sound is something that we don't just hear, it's something that we experience. So how has AI gotten incredibly good at generating images, but audio still seems much harder to get right? Why is that?
So this is one of my favorite subjects, and I speak on this a lot because understanding how audio works means that you have to go back to understanding what audio is. And audio is fundamentally a physical medium. It is actually moving the air around you, right? And one of my favorite sort of ways to show this is put your hand on a speaker and you can feel it change when you change the pitch or the tone of the speaker. You can hear it, you can feel it change with amplitude differences, right? It is a physical medium. Do that with a light bulb. You can't tell when somebody changes the color of the light bulb. It feels exactly the same, right? So audio, understanding.
This is what we're looking at here, is the vibration of a speaker, right?
And these are all just different tones being sent through a plate and how they actually look. So audio is incredibly physical. We feel it with every part of our body, and that means that our physiology changes how we experience audio.
So this is different frequencies that we're looking at, right? And this is a visual representation of the frequencies.
Exactly. How it's actually moving the sand on that plate just shows you how it is actually moving your body and the pieces of your body differently when you feel audio.
I find that when I'm working with clients, it's very hard for them on a whole who are outside of our industry to understand something they can't see.
Yes, which is why I love showing visuals like this, right, to make people understand. So.
Love it. Okay. But what makes audio fundamentally different from images when it comes to how AI creates or interprets content?
So, this is another one of my very fun things. Audio often falls into what we call the uncanny valley, right? Which is a term that we use in AI where humans get very sort of freaked out because you understand that what you're talking about is not real. It is fake. It is AI. We sense that much harder with audio. And a lot of that is because we cannot tell a computer how the pieces of our ear work, right? How literally the pinnae, which is the outer part of your ear, imprints directionality information when those waveforms hit your body. We can't tell a computer how to do that, right? Whereas the shape of our eyeballs doesn't necessarily change the color of the lighting, right? The sun is a known entity. The ground is a known entity. With audio, it is not. Everything about us changes the way that we sense audio, and computers just don't have that.
Got it. Okay. But from a human perception standpoint, how is the way that we hear different from the way that we see?
So it really is, think about the difference. How can we paint a scene, right? We've been able to paint what we see forever, right? It is color, it is a static image. However, we weren't able to record audio until the late 1800s, really very well. And that is because audio is, it's a much more physical medium. It is touch, it is waveform based. It is not just a snapshot of a point in time, right? Everything is moving. When I move my head, my voice changes tone to you, and you know that I am moving my head, right? It's air perception changes with every single movement. The humidity, the temperature, everything in our environment changes audio, and that's much harder to explain and code into an artificial computer system.
And I'm guessing the physical shape of our ears, of what we're looking at up here, and also obviously we're better hearing audio coming from in front or slightly from the sides, but not so much from behind.
Exactly.
Just really from the physical aspect of the way our ears are designed.
That's exactly what it is. And, we can go all Van Gogh. And let's say if we were to cut off the outer part of your ear, it would actually change the way that you hear things, right? There's a reason that you can, do this, and all of a sudden you can hear frequencies differently, or you can hear better. You don't see better when you do this with your eyes because you're not actually moving the medium of light, right? You can affect the medium of sound with your body. And you do it all day, every day, without ever actually thinking about it.
Interesting. That's fascinating. But our environment, our physiology have a huge impact on how we hear. Why does that make audio more difficult for AI to understand or reproduce accurately?
Because there are so many factors that people don't think about affecting audio. It's just sort of a natural thing.
You mentioned a few of those.
Yes,
Temperature.
Audio travels faster in certain temperatures. Humidity, right?
So
because
higher or lower temperature would
lower temperature travels faster, right?
Okay.
So because lower air is more farther apart, it's harder for the atoms to literally move. Humidity, that means that the air is more compact. Think about water is a great conductor of electricity, right? Same thing for audio because you're actually moving at the denser forms. Your ear shape, your head size, literally the width of your head affects how you're going to hear audio. Wind can affect it, right? Put a big fan right in front of a speaker. You're not going to hear that audio as well. So all of those things that our environment controls, we don't think about how to program that into a computer, and it is harder to tell a computer how those things affect us because we don't actually understand it most of the time. As a normal human, I do because I'm a big dork and read about it all the time. But
no, it's really quite fascinating. Like I said, I think people in general find it difficult to understand. Find it hard to understand something they can't actually see.
Right. And I mean, just think about your emotions, right? I get excited. I speak faster. Literally, the resonance in my vocal cavity changes. It's hard to tell a robot to do that.
Yeah. Okay. But humans don't just hear sound. We feel it. How does that physical connection to audio complicate the way that we train AI models?
That is an answer that I truly don't have an answer for yet, but I think it goes back to...
What if I ask ChatGPT?
Okay, come on, now you're just messing with me. But as we understand the physiology a little bit better, right, we can maybe make these models understand how they should be altering based on the spatial information that we give them.
Okay. last question for you. As AI continues to evolve, where do you think it can be most useful in audio design, and where do humans still need to stay heavily involved?
I think that the humans need to stay involved in the not just asking AI to do something for you and go on with your day, right? You need to actually listen to it because, again, that uncanny valley, you'll know when it sounds fake. So, yes, if you need to use it for background or for your spatial or stuff like that, to bring it back to our other segment, it is good for things like that, right? But it is not going to be good for actually your content that you're paying attention to. So make sure you're listening to things, get a soundscape, but then actually do the recording over top of it. Stuff like that. I think that there's a happy medium to be found.
Love it. Fascinating. Rebecca, thank you again so much for your time. We really appreciate it here. That wraps things up here in the AVIXA TV virtual studio. It's back to Ben and Sam at the AVIXA TV desk.
Thank you, Pete and Rebecca. Now it's time to welcome a trio of friends from a valued studio partner, Ross Video. We have Matt Morgan, Drew Sheely, and Mike Steinbrecher. Welcome, folks. We last spoke back in Barcelona. How's things been since then?
Very good. Very busy.
Awesome.
Yeah,
busy.
It's been very good.
Yeah. And how's everything going with the booth build? We ask everyone. Everyone seems to be kind of, 5 hours behind schedule, right on schedule,
Their own
that kind of
time.
thing. Everything's working well here, I imagine.
Yeah, so far so good.
I mean, our booth looks good.
Yeah.
Our studio's good, so thanks.
Yeah, and you're back again. So obviously we're doing something right.
Yes.
We're continuing this partnership. So fantastic. So I want to dive straight into it. We're seeing more and more sports and venue professionals at the show than ever before. Drew, maybe we can start with you from your perspective. Why has fan experience become such a major priority, and what are organizations getting right or maybe wrong when designing those environments?
Yeah, the fan experience honestly is everything to sports entertainment because you're competing with broadcast TV. So the fan experience is basically why should a fan want to come to the actual game when they can watch it on TV? So you have to be able to deliver a certain experience that entices people to come to the venues. And so what we're seeing is, a lot of people focusing on adding more LED, more replays, more stats, graphics, things to keep people engaged, but then also providing a lot of different entertainment to the experience. And what people do wrong though, kind of in the space, is not going with different systems that talk well with each other, because these productions are highly complex and technical in nature, just the amount of moving parts they're having, because you're reacting to a live game just like TV is. So you need all the same capabilities of television, but in a way that brings fans up, elevates them, and gives them that experience and reason to come to the game rather than staying at home.
I mean, it's an interesting balancing act as well to sort of make, because, Ross Video, for example, you're invested in both the kind of thing, it doesn't want to be too captivating at home. You kind of want to make it as captivating in the stadium. So I can imagine.
But that talks to the flexibility of our products as well, because we're able to do everything from the TV broadcast, but also to the sports venue entertainment side of the production as well. We're able to tailor all those needs with the same systems.
And so, Drew, I wanted to continue with that idea and what Ross is doing in terms of your technology, empowering so many major sports. I feel like this time right now, every sporting event is going on, and you guys are in so many entertainment venues. And with the World Cup going on as we speak, go USA, that conversation feels bigger more now than ever. So what role does AV technology play in shaping that overall fan experience so they really are getting the most out of that?
Well, yeah, most people think it's just the end bowl experience, but it goes completely, the entire venue is the full fan experience, and AV is integral to that experience because it's everything from concession signage, wayfinding, interactive experiences on LED throughout the concourses. And so you need the tools to power all that sort of LED real estate, and that's one of our big strengths, is where we have all those tools and the interoperability with many different other vendors to make the productions as seamless as possible. So there's a huge influence, just the amount of technology you have in shaping that experience that goes well beyond what's just shown inside the seating bowl.
And the one thing that I love about you guys creating those experiences is that almost the technology kind of vanishes and all you are is just experiencing, that excitement, the thrill of being there at the venue or even, watching it from abroad.
And I've operated a lot of major sporting events, and even from the operational position, just the hair standing up on your arms just from that moment right before kickoff or tip-off or first pitch, is palpable, and it not only goes out to the fans but also the people that make the content. Just hearing the feedback directly from the fans reacting to things like a hype video or the intros of the teams, especially like watching, you said with the World Cup, just watching those intros of the teams walking out onto the pitch, you can feel the energy. And a lot of that's shaped by the in-venue experience.
Absolutely.
So, Mike, since we last caught up, Ross has expanded through acquisition, and that includes Vertex. For people who aren't familiar with it, what problem is Vertex solving, and why has it become such an important piece of the story?
Well, at the beginning, we like to say that Vertex is a media server or comes out of the media server market. But actually, we like to say it's not a media server, it has a media server, but it has way more. And this is the whole show control, but also possibility for the interactivity to combine what we just talked about, the fan engagement, and that they're not just visiting a game, they're part of the game, they're part of the experience, and that's the power of Vertex here.
Yeah.
Well, I would love to hear any real, world cases, anything that you can share since it's being used in so many different venues and experiential installations. So do you have any that you could share with us?
Maybe two completely different examples. One is coming out of a corporate business. At Siemens, they have a brand space room where they present their products. And whenever customers register to come by and have a look, they actually get an RFID chip. And if the customer is from the medical department, all the content will be tailored to this customer. And in the brand space room, then there are lasers in front of the LED walls to make them touch interactive. It has an AI voice control. So it's always completely interactive and tailored to the customer. That's one part more out of a corporate part. Another thing, as we just have the World Cup running, at a German football stadium, we are connected to the game API, and whenever the home team is actually scoring a goal, the beer gets discounted by 10% immediately.
Oh, wow.
So again, this fan engagement and keeping the home team happy and engaged.
We love that kind of technology.
Does that discount stack up? So is it like
it
10%,
stacks up,
20%?
yes.
Wow.
So if it's an intense good game,
everyone's happy.
Everyone is happy, correct.
Phenomenal, yes.
You might even swap some component fans to your whole fan base.
I love that. I think that's the best use case we've ever heard.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Okay, Ross Video, continue to innovate.
Yeah.
That's great. So, Matt, let's bring you into the conversation. On the corporate AV side, organizations are really under pressure to justify investment. How are customers thinking about ROI, but also resilience and long-term value when investing in workplace experiences?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of different ways to look at ROI. You have the, how do I get my money back in the investment that I'm making? Why am I even making the investment? So I like to tie the technology to even the business operation of engagement is huge. Like most of the products that we sell aren't for external messaging, it's for internal, to keep people engaged. With most of the world being a hybrid workforce now, and our attention spans being super low, we need to find new creative ways to connect with our team members from around the globe. I mean, Ross is all over the globe, and how do we stay connected? And for other companies who are not only in US, but in the UK or across the Europe and everywhere else, how do you put systems in that allow a return on the investment from that initial purchase? And so when you look at engagement and you look at different stats, there's staggering stats right now that show that most of the workforce is disengaged. And when you have a disengaged workforce, that's going to cost organizations tons and millions of dollars in getting new workforce in. So if you have a high turnover, that costs you money. It's almost cheaper to invest in keeping people engaged because that means that you have higher revenue streams. When people are working, they're working in a productive manner that is bringing money into the organization. And then from an operational point of view, you have the ROI of how do I make sure my people aren't overwhelmed and make sure things aren't always just ad hoc and they're always having to change things and manually move things around and unplug one thing to plug in something else and then have to remember to put that back in for the next day for those users to come in and use it. So having this idea of I can make an investment that helps my workforce stay engaged and also the people who support these systems be more productive and be able to be more planned allows them to say yes to more requirements and demands that the organizations have. So as we come into InfoComm, I think a lot of people are looking for those sort of solutions. It's not necessarily one product to move the needle for a bunch of things. It's how do I build this ecosystem to make my life easier? And also with costs rising and everything else, we have to make sure that our shelf life isn't, that 3 to 5 years. We need a shelf life of 5 to 15 years. And how do I adapt to technology as it grows? And how does the technology say that core infrastructure without having to rip it all out and ask for another CapEx spend, 2-3 years from now? So that's what I'm excited about with InfoComm this year is with corporate and education and government people coming in, looking for these solutions to back the organizations. I think we're all seeing that lift right now with broadcast technology and AV technology all coming together to give more back to the end user and create that more resilience, because at the end of the day, we can create broadcasts and things like that on our iPhone, but having something I can rely on every day that helps my organization and makes my life better at work, that's what I want to invest in.
Absolutely.
And I love that adaptability aspect of it. It's going to help, future-proof and keep people around in the long term and, feed back into your ROI. And I love that you mentioned, yes, InfoComm is a great place to come so you can actually see and touch and really experience everything that you guys have got going on. And I know since the last time we spoke at ISC, you guys, yes, with the acquisition of Vertex, you've done some other things, right? And some other additional strategic acquisitions. And that technology is actually being used right here in our AVIXA TV studio, and we're excited to have that. So can you talk a little bit more about the broader technology portfolio that Ross is building and how those solutions all work together in an environment like this, such as our AVIXA TV studio?
Absolutely. Yeah, we are not just a switcher company anymore or a router company, but we do all the video infrastructure, graphics, all the stadium interaction. But then with Vertex, now we can interact where technology is something that you experience in any environment you're in. And now we also added Llama audio into the mix, which I didn't even mean to do that. Look at that. Llama audio into the mix.
Nice.
Yeah. But yeah, that one's for you.
There you go.
Yeah, thumbs up from the Llama team. And I posted on LinkedIn the other day, I'm actually an audio guy. So I was pretty excited when we acquired Llama and I started learning about what it can do. It's not just a DAW that lets you do post edits or post production. Right now, if we sound great, we're using Llama. If we're not using Llama. But I think we sound great. In the room, we sound incredible.
In that case, we're using Llama.
So we're using Llama, and what's great about it is if you're in a broadcast environment and you need to do remote capture and you have someone deployed in Kansas City, but your engineer's in New York City, you can have that person run the whole mix from New York. Right now, we have Llama Audio running everything from the studio. You can do it live. You can do things in post. You can basically have your fingertips at anything that you would use an analog console for, or outboard, or any of these kind of hybrid audio environments in one package, which is Llama Audio. Does everything from live mixing to an auto mix feature, which is like a Dan Dugan on steroids, which is awesome if you're an audio person. It just really allows you to take the complexity out of your workflow, work with a single partner or less partners to power auditoriums, studios, things like that, and really empower the engineers who might have just been previously used to AV where you just kind of plug it in and go. And now we can give them professional quality products such as Llama and other Ross products and make it way easier for them to use in their everyday environments and have that high quality output that they're looking for.
So Matt, we're just about out of time, but as we go, can you just give us a quick idea of the kind of the bigger vision and the overarching message that Ross Video wants attendees to walk away with here at InfoComm 2026?
My whole message this year has been all about resiliency. It's how do I wake up every day and know that my systems work? How do I know that I have a partner who's going to answer the phone? And at the end of the day, with cost rising and Data centers are going up, which makes the demand for SaaS even more expensive, and also parts for on-prem more expensive. You have to be way more intentional about what you're investing in to making sure that you're future-proofing and giving that resiliency to make sure that these systems aren't going to go down when it's important, when it matters, and that you have, like I said, that team behind you, and that your equipment's part of your team. You want to make sure when you walk in every morning, I can capture my CEO or engage with my audience, whether it's an internal audience or an audience in a stadium. You want to make sure all those things are up and running. So as you come visit us at InfoComm and as you visit the show floor and everything else, again, it's finding that resiliency to make sure that you can go to sleep at night and come back to work tomorrow and things are all going to be up and running and you have a happy day at work.
We love that story.
Yeah, well, thank you so much, all of you, for joining us. Sounds like good news all round from Ross Video, and we really appreciate the partnership and look forward to continuing to build that. So thank you all.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you guys.
Wonderful. Well, so it looks like the clock has run down on today's AVIXA TV Live at InfoComm. What a great group of guests we've had today, Ben. I've loved every minute of it. What did you think?
I thought it was fantastic, and we finished just in time for me to run over to the pitch and watch the France game. So, yeah, perfect. I'm actually going to, can you just wrap this up?
Is that it? You know, we could reshoot some segments just in case.
No need. Everything was fine. Perfect.
All right, fine. So then I'm going to let Ben go watch his football, but we'll definitely be back here tomorrow with another group of amazing guests. Be sure to join us at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the AVIXA website, YouTube, or LinkedIn. So we will catch you all tomorrow. So see you then.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
As people return to the workplace in record numbers, they expect a seamless experience that is worth the commute. As technology evolves, we'll be there, leading the way, inspiring teams to work together, empowering businesses to grow beyond limits, connecting people, spaces, and technology. This is what we're known for. It's our forte. Let's transform the modern workplace together.
The new cathedrals of the big cities are the stadiums. We are focused to construct the biggest and the best stadium in Europe and the best stadium in the world.
It's a really ambitious project in terms of technology to design a fully connected ecosystem across all areas of the stadium. The only brand who can deliver a unified ecosystem with AV over IP technologies is Crestron.
We are not selling football, we are selling experience. Technology must be invisible for the fans. It must work. The Crestron system was essential to afford that kind of new experience in the venues.
As your IT manager, I choose which platform we use for virtual meetings. It will prompt you to download a weird app, and your clients will be actively upset when you send them a link. I use Zoom. Sit down, Mr. Thompson.
I use Zoom AI Companion.
You will have no companion of any kind. I use Zoom Contact Center. No, you will not start a movement.
I use Zoom in this coffee shop.
Uso Zoom para traducir.
Be part of the movement. Zoom ahead.
Technology should confuse us, not help us.
Since 2005, Ikan has built professional video production equipment for broadcast and corporate AV. Our products are in television stations, corporate studios, classrooms, government facilities, and houses of worship. Our award-winning Lyra PoE lighting line delivers power and DMX control over a single Cat6 cable that removes the electrician, the conduit, and in most cases, the permitting from a studio build-out. Our panel lights are designed for classrooms, conference rooms, and other drop ceiling environments. For broadcast and corporate studios, we offer RGBW and ellipsoidal options. Every PoE fixture works natively with QSYS. Our Aura NDI monitors and teleprompters put power, NDI, and control on the same network as the rest of your production, so the monitor stops being a separate problem to solve. The Studio Rover is an all-in-one mobile broadcast solution, NDI teleprompter, PoE lighting, motorized column, and integrated rack system, IP controlled on a single platform. It won InfoComm 2025 and NAB 2026 Best of Show Awards. Because it's IP native, the Rover fits cleanly into REMI workflows where the talent is on site and the production team operates from anywhere. It's our answer for corporate, education, and live production teams that need a studio they can roll into any room and turn on. Ikan products are built for the convergence of broadcast and AV. See the full line at ikancorp.com.
Pro AV has never looked better, but behind the scenes, it's never been more complex. Too often, projects are a compromise of quality, latency, and bandwidth. We've decided to change that model with a paradigm shift in the way that video moves. Uncompromised quality, ultra-low latency, and dramatically lower bandwidth, all at the same time. Introducing Matrox Mavix MGX, a new line of high compression encoders and decoders. Now, you're no longer designing around limitations. You're designing and building the system you want. With IPMX at its core, say goodbye to proprietary systems. You get open standard interoperability and optimized bandwidth efficiency. And when you need additional performance, Matrox IQ mode gives you ultra-low latency as low as 1 frame. From control rooms to collaboration spaces, read every line, track every detail, react in real time. With Mavix MGX, you get high-quality 4K 60 444 content at 50 megabits a second and as low as 1 frame of latency on a standard 1 gig network. That's 1